Okay, I've got something very, very important. Accidents happen, right? But what do you do next is very important. How should you document an injury? Well, we have an expert with us, Marco Bocciarelli from Friedman, Domiano and Smith. It's great to see you. And I was just traveling recently, and I see people having accidents and that sort of thing, and people, they don't know what to do. You're in shock. You should probably make a plan now before you even have an injury, right?
Absolutely. There's never a better time than when you don't need it to be prepared for it, right?
Yeah, so start thinking about this thing. So you have an injury. I imagine the first thing you do to take care of yourself, right, is you get to a doctor. Is that what you do first?
Absolutely. I cannot say this enough. Getting the medical care and treatment that you need after an injury is super important. And it's important for two reasons, actually. One is it documents, well, obviously, for your own personal well-being and care, right? That's the most important thing. But it also documents your injury later down the road if you have to make a claim. And secondary to that, if you do need to make a claim, there is an obligation under the law that you minimize your own damages. It's called a duty to mitigate. And if you have a claim and you want to make a claim for damages down the road, both of those, if you don't pay any attention to it, could substantially impact your ability to recover later.
You know, I know somebody who was just in an accident recently, and it didn't feel like it was a big deal. And so they said, well, they're just going to take this money from the insurance company. It was like, I don't know, $10,000 is going to cover the medical bills. Well, you know, this poor guy is still going to the doctor every day, and it's been over a year, and they didn't make a plan. They got caught short, right?
You know what? It's important that you don't run out right away and try to settle exactly like your friend did, because that's absolutely a problem that happens all the time. Insurance companies want to settle as quickly as possible because they don't want to have to deal with the ramifications of a potentially long-term injury. I would always advise, give yourself a little bit of time. Make sure you're documenting your injury through medical care, through going to your doctor. Give yourself a little time to see where you're really at, because what your injuries are or what they feel like day one may be something very different than what they feel like on day 25. Or you may not expect to have an injury on day 25 still, and it's still with you.
Boy, I hear that story all the time. Hey, you used the word mitigate, mitigating circumstances. What does that mean, and how does that play into this?
So under the law, any person who is injured and has an intention of making a claim has a duty to avoid damages that could be reasonably prevented. So, for instance, your friend who was injured, let's say instead of getting better, he actually gets worse as time goes on. And he could have made a much quicker recovery if he had gotten timely medical care and treatment. All right? Under those circumstances, an insurance company or a defense attorney can say, well, your damages are going to be reduced or cut off because instead of getting that care and treatment that you required, you waited. And so you suffered additional damages, not because of me, but because you failed to take care of yourself.
Wow, so we only have about 15 or 20 seconds left, but when you said all those things, it made me think that people now with the virus, COVID virus and all that sort of thing, might be putting off going to the doctor, and that's going to create a problem for them, right?
That's an understandable risk, or an understandable concern, rather. But there are options. There are plenty of doctors who are doing telephone calls, virtual appointments. There are smaller facilities, urgent cares, minute clinics. There are holistic approaches that you can use. Anything that will document your injuries and your symptoms is going to benefit you down the road.
Great. Friedman, Domiano, and Smith, some great advice. I know a couple of people that should have listened to that advice or learned that advice a long time ago. So thank you for joining us today and helping us with this.
Thank you. And just anytime, give us a call. We give free consultations, and we don't charge anything unless we make recovery for you.
Great. Thank you very much. Guess what, folks? More New Day Cleveland coming up right after the break.